Have you ever watched the person you love become a stranger right before your eyes? I saw it in the cold blue light of her phone screen at 2 in the morning. Her thumb was flying, a ghost of a smile on her face as she lay next to me in our bed, the one where we'd built a life. She thought I was asleep. She was wrong. That tiny, illuminated screen in the darkness of our Chicago brownstone was the window to the end of my world, and I was about to watch the whole thing burn. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It started subtly. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now permanently attached to her hand, screen down. "It's just Mark from work," she'd say, her voice a little too bright. "He's a mess, always needs advice on the Henderson account." Mark, the name tasted like ash in my mouth. I'd met him once at a company dinner at Gibson S Bar and Steakhouse on Rush Street. He had a handshake like a wet fish, and eyes that never quite met mine, always sliding back to my wife, Sarah. He was a parasite in a tailored suit. The late nights at the office became more frequent. Receipts for dinners I was on it started appearing a quiet dinner for two at a small Italian place in Lincoln Park. A bar tab from the aviary on a night she was supposedly working late. I found them tucked into the pocket of her coat, crumpled like insignificant trash. To her, maybe they were. To me, they were clues. Paper trails leading to a truth I wasn't sure I could survive. When I'd ask, her eyes would turn to steel. "Are you checking up on me? My God, I can't believe how little you trust me." It was a client dinner. You know how demanding my job is? She was a master of deflection, turning my suspicion into a weapon against me, making me feel small and paranoid. The woman I married, the one who'd laugh until she cried at my stupid jokes, was gone. In her place was this cold, manipulative stranger who looked at me with something bordering on contempt. They grew bold, arrogant. One Saturday, she said she was going to a yoga retreat for the day. I decided to drive out to the North Shore, just to clear my head. And there they were, walking out of a boutique hotel in Evanston laughing. His hand was on the small of her back, a gesture so intimate, so proprietary, it knocked the air from my lungs. They looked untouchable, wrapped in their own secret world, oblivious to the man watching from his car across the street, his world crumbling around him. I drove home in a daze, the city lights blurring through my tears. That night, I broke. I sat on the floor of our shower, the hot water beating down on me, and I sobbed until I was empty. The grief was a physical thing, a crushing weight in my chest. But as the water turned cold, something else rose from the emptiness. Rage, cold, clear, and calculating. The next morning, I was a new man. Broken husband was gone, replaced by a strategist. My pain became my fuel. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who operated out of a dusty office on the West Loop. I needed more than suspicion. I needed irrefutable proof. While he worked, I played the part of the slightly distant but still loving husband. I made her breakfast. I asked about her day. Every smile felt like a betrayal. Every touch was a lie. Pie delivered. Photos, dozens of them kissing in a parking garage on Lower Wacker Drive. Holding hands in Millennium Park. Him leaving our house one afternoon when I was on a business trip. The final report included copies of hotel bills, all paid in cash. It was all there, a neat and tidy portfolio of my own personal hell. My lawyer, a shark named Peterson, laid out the plan from his high-rise office overlooking the Chicago River. In Illinois, infidelity can impact the division of assets, especially if marital funds were used to support the affair, he said, his voice calm and predatory. We don't just want a divorce. We want to leave her with nothing but the consequences of her actions. The trap was set. Sarah's father was a prominent figure in Chicago society, obsessed with appearances. Her mother chaired 3 different charities. Their world was built on a foundation of pristine reputations. That was the foundation I was going to shatter. The final act was set for her parents' 40th anniversary party, a lavish affair at the Drake Hotel. 200 of Chicago's elite were there. Sarah was in her element, floating through the room in a glittering gown. Mark by her side, introduced to everyone as her colleague and dear friend. I watched from the sidelines, a ghost at the feast, my heart pounding a steady, rhythmic drum of vengeance. When her father stood to give a toast, I made my move. I had arranged for a large projector screen to be set up for a surprise slideshow celebrating her parents. As her father finished, I took the microphone. "I have a small tribute of my own," I said, my voice echoing through the silent ballroom. "A tribute to honesty and to family." Then I nodded to the technician. The first photo flashed onto the screen. Sarah and Mark locked in an embrace outside that hotel in Evanston. A collective gasp went through the room. The next photo, them kissing in the parking garage, then another and another. Silent film of their betrayal, playing out for everyone to see. Sarah's face went white. Her father's jaw dropped. Mark looked like a cornered animal, frantically searching for an escape. I let the slideshow run for a full minute before I spoke again. "She said it was just a friend," I said, my voice cold and clear. Looked directly at her, letting her see the abyss in my eyes. But the truth destroyed our marriage. I placed the microphone down and walked out of the ballroom, leaving the smoldering ruins of her life behind me. The fallout was biblical. She was disowned by her family, fired from her job for the scandal, and ostracized from the social circles she so desperately loved. In the divorce settlement, the evidence was so overwhelming that the judge awarded me the house. And the majority of our assets, citing her flagrant use of marital funds to facilitate the affair, she was ruined, legally and socially. Mark disappeared, transferred to a different branch of his company somewhere in another state, leaving her to face the wreckage alone. Sometimes late at night, I walk through the quiet rooms of this big, empty house. Every corner holds a memory, now tainted. I won. I got my revenge. But all I'm left with is the silence and the ghost of a woman I once loved. The end.